Good evening, and welcome to the 32nd edition of LIVRESQ Empower Your Teaching, our bi-monthly webinar where we talk about LIVRESQ, about new features from LIVRESQ, or we explain different aspects. It's kind of like a training webinar where we explain how our app works and what it can do for you and how you can use it to its full potential. We have a very exciting topic for tonight, so whether you're joining us on Zoom or you're watching us on Facebook, or if you're watching a recording of this, I know a lot of you cannot join us when we schedule these because of time differences. So if you're watching a recording and you have any questions, as usual, leave your comment below and we will get to it as soon as possible. But if you've joined us live, you can interrupt me at any point if you're on Zoom, or you can write a comment and I will see it. So we've kept these webinars quite short in the past, and this is what we're going to do tonight as well. My purpose is to explain a little bit about how the text resource works, or how you can use text in LIVRESQ, because it's straightforward most of the times, but it can be quite complex in the way that it has some, not really hidden, but some more advanced features that I want to get into. And I also maybe want to remind you of how you can use AI to generate text and to play around with text. So without further ado, I'm going to start sharing LIVRESQ, the app, instead of my face. Perfect. So I think the best way to do this is to start with an empty project so that you can see the text resource as it is. So without any other distractions, we're just working on the text resource. There are some properties that you can select and that you can play around before you start editing text or before you start editing a project. And these are under preferences. If you go under theme up here, for the graphic theme of the entire project, you can select the font family, the font size, you can select the text color as well, and these settings here will influence your entire project unless you choose for a certain bit of text other settings. So these are generally set for the entire project. It's what will permeate throughout your sections, throughout your content. So for instance, if I select a different font here, maybe I want to go with Lucinda Sans. I tried very hard not to go with Comic Sans. You can see that even the items that are not text resources are changed. If we change the color of the text, items that are not primarily text, that are not the text resource, will change. So this will change my titles, it will change my buttons, and some of the text. If I change other colors here, it will change different other elements of text. So these are settings that I can set for my entire project. It will affect everything unless for a specific item I choose something else. So I cannot change after I've made this change here from the theme. I cannot change the font for my titles here or for my subtitle here, or the font for different interactive elements like maybe the buttons in quizzes, but I can change the text in the text resource. If I leave it just, if I don't make any settings here, so I'm going to delete every setting that I've changed. This is just what the project looks like. By the way, you can change font size, but we encourage you not to, because we have a nifty little setting up here in the top bar, and we've talked about the top bar just before Christmas. This is really useful in that you can add your own buttons, but one of the buttons that we provide will let you change the size of the text in your entire project. So this doesn't mean that you're changing the editing size. This means that your learner, student, whoever is looking at your material, is able to change the size of the text when viewing the material. So this doesn't affect how the material is created. This affects how I see, or how the user sees the material. And this is really handy if there are people who are maybe who have some who view a project on a smaller screen or have difficulty seeing your text. They are in. Now, these are settings again for the entire project, but what I really want to delve into tonight is what we do with the text resource. And we already have a text resource whenever we create a new project from scratch in LIVRESQ. It's the resource that tells you what to do inside this project. So it says to begin, drag an element from the left, which means that we can drag an element of content or of structure, drag it into our working space. But this text resource can also be edited or deleted. And the process for editing any resource in LIVRESQ is double-clicking it. That's where it all starts. If I double-click my text resource, the text editing menu will pop up here, straight to inside my section. For different resources, if you're an experienced LIVRESQ user, you know that other resources entail going into a special editing menu. So going deeper up here in the breadcrumb, you'll see exactly how it works. So for instance, if I want to edit an image, once I edit it, in order to change it and to play around with it, I'm no longer in the text editing menu. I'm now in the image, and I can go back to the section from up here. For the text, my editing menu appears on my screen in my in edit mode. So it's very straightforward, very easy to use. Now, the options that we have up here are generally usual options that we can find in any text editor. Things like bold, italic, changing the style. We can change the text color and the highlight of the text. We can change the format, and you can change these settings for the headings in CSS if you want under preferences. If not, it will just automatically change the size. But what we really wanted to achieve with LIVRESQ is, of course, give teachers a way to create materials very fast. And we know that a lot of teachers already have written materials, written texts that they've created, and documents that or little lessons in other formats that they would like to integrate. So if you have text that's already formatted, if you paste it normally, I'm now going to take text from a different material, a random different material. Just one sec. Here we go. If you have text that is formatted and I paste it using Control V, the format is kept. So whatever size I have here, whatever bold I had, the font, now it's the same, but it is kept exactly like that. I can change the format, just give me a second, in a new text box. Here we go. It's the same. So it doesn't have to be it works the same even if you add a new text box. And perhaps I should have begun with that. To add text that is not there, you add the text box from the content menu. I went a little bit too fast on this part. So if I paste it from somewhere else, then I have it like this. If I use Control Shift V, I can paste it without any format, or I can remove whatever settings I have on its format using this button. So I pressed remove format, and now it's formatted in the settings of my project. So if you want to keep the way you edited the format that you've edited in another platform, in a Word document or any other type of document, then you can. If you want to remove that and maybe make it all equal, then you can use the remove format, and we can also copy formatting from one element to another. So for instance, if I have an element that's in a different font, maybe Tahoma, can we tell the difference? I'm going to use Comic Sans just so that we can really tell the difference. There we go. And I want to copy this format. Sorry, I did it the other way around. So I want to copy the format here. I can apply it to other elements in my text as well. That's useful if you use text from different types of documents. So if you select text from documents that are formatted differently, you can incorporate one format rule for your entire text. And again, not a very spectacular feature, but a very, very useful one that's meant to make your life a lot easier. Besides the align options and the listing options, we can also move around paragraphs if we want to. So we can add or decrease indentation. Change the font, we've already seen how to do that. So this is when we change the font for a specific element, which will overwrite the settings that I've just selected for the entire project. So if you select a specific font for your project, that's the font that will be displayed when you remove the format. However, if you want a specific, if you select a certain font in your text box, then that will be overwritten. So this is a setting specifically for the element I've selected. The size works in the same way. Again, I encourage you not to play with size too much. Maybe use one of the format options because LIVRESQ materials are meant to be responsive, which means that they will adapt to screen size. And in case it's still not enough, if you leave that preferences button up on the toolbar, the learner will have the option to change the size of the text according to their specific needs. Other things you can do in the text box with the text editing menu is adding a link. And you can add a link either to something outside LIVRESQ or you can add a link to a different part of the lesson. We use bookmarks for that, and we have previous webinars in which we went into details explaining how to organize the material, how to create a table of contents, how to use bookmarks. How it works is selecting a word similar to any other editor. You select a word, you click link, and here you select the action. You can either go to a certain bookmark, which again can send you to another part of the lesson, in the same section, in a different section, it doesn't matter. Or you can follow a link, and this is where you add a different URL, and it will open in a separate tab for your learner. Follow bookmark will then let you select one of the bookmarks in your project or in your material. Very quick and very, very easy. Moreover, you can also add images straight to the text box. So instead of adding the image separately, we've also decided to give you the option to add an image inside the text box in case you want to arrange it somewhere close to the text, or if you want to arrange the text around it. We don't necessarily recommend it because it's not as stable as adding an image separately as a separate resource like this. But adding an image like this does have some placement limitations. So if you really need your image to interact in a way directly with the text, then you can add the image using the text editing menu. And here you have two options. You can either upload a file from your computer, so an image that you've previously saved and used, or you can upload a stock photo. If you've never seen this before, we have integrated in LIVRESQ 3 sources of stock photos that you can search for. They're absolutely free, of course, copyright free. You can search for a specific term, and you have pages and pages of results. After you decide on an image, you can hover your mouse over it. There's a button on the left-hand side, and you can select the size of the image you want to integrate, and then the image is automatically integrated. Now, we don't have the advanced image editor here, but we can still do some tweaks to the image. So if you add an image in the classical way, you can edit the image a little bit. You can crop it and you can perform different functions and change colors, add text, and so on. Here you can't do this, but you can, no, actually you can pop up, sorry, the editor here, but it's not as straightforward. What you can do very easily, however, is change the display size of the image. So if we go here and I want the image to be smaller next to my text, I can change the height, I can keep the ratio, or I can just change the image altogether. I can change both the height and the width separately. We can also add a border, and we can change its alignment with respect to the text or with respect to how much space there is around it. So if you really need to, you can do it, and you can add an image inside the text box. But again, for the course to be more stable and to be easily responsive, we recommend that you add the image separately. Furthermore, you can also add tables, and we have a few settings for the table as well. You can choose the number of rows, the number of columns, how big or small you want the border to be. If you want more advanced settings for the table, you can either look through this menu or you can go under source and change the HTML. And we'll get to that in a second. The formula editor, also very useful, very popular. is a formula editor, is what its name says. So here you have the possibility to add formula for all sciences. And furthermore, you have the possibility to add formula using LaTeX. So if you already have documents written in LaTeX, you can use code and it will automatically display a formula. And there's even a shortcut for this. So if I take this formula written in LaTeX, I'll just copy it and cancel. Then I can enter LaTeX in my text box. And in order to let the platform know that this is LaTeX and that I needed to display a function, a formula here, I'll add the signs dollar, dollar, before and after. And now it's displayed as a formula. So you can really use LaTeX. You don't even have to go into the editor. You can use it straight from the text box and add LaTeX code. Two other things that I want to talk about before we move on to AI is the fact that we also have variables. So values that we can enter that change according to when and how the lesson is accessed. So the current calendar day, very straightforward. These variables, by the way, are also used in certificate because you can now add a diploma or a certificate to your lesson. So current calendar day changes again to the date that the lesson is accessed. The username changes to the user who is accessing the lesson, either in an LMS, if you're doing this in SCORM, if you're editing SCORM files, so if you're exporting LIVRESQ projects as SCORM files, or if you are using LIVRESQ in the library, if you're exporting to our library, this will work, this will tell the name, it will display the name of the user who is logged into the LIVRESQ library. And then we have the progress percent, how much of the lesson the user or the learner has completed, and the score percent, which is what score the learner has obtained in quizzes. We have no quiz here, so this will display 0 automatically. These are again variables. They will change according to each situation. Then one of the most important features, especially if you know HTML or if you know a little bit of editing or if you ask AI to do it, is the fact that you can access the source. So by accessing the source, you have full access to the code of the text box and you can enter lots of different things here. This is also the place that allows us to embed different resources using iframe. Starting from YouTube videos, although again, there's an easier, more straightforward way to add a YouTube video to your lesson in the form of a video resource, to different other learning apps or different other interactive content on the web that you already use for learning. We've demonstrated this before with learning apps. Now I'm just going to show you very fast how we do it with a YouTube video, for instance. So I'll just add a text box here. I'll click on, let's see if it gives me the menu here. I'll copy the code that allows me to embed a YouTube video. Go inside my text box, delete the text that is already here, the default text, and then I'll just paste the code. Once I paste the code, the video is integrated fully. I can add different aspects, like I can ask the video to start at a certain time. This is from YouTube because it can add this to the code. Again, not really meant for video, but it works. There are a lot more options if you want to add a video from YouTube or from a different platform. There are a lot of more options inside the video resource, including adding intervals, changing the way it plays, changing certain images. So I actually recommend you use this. You can even add quizzes or different resources that will play inside the video. But if you needed to embed a video in a different way, or if you need to add text straight next to it or something, you can also use the embed feature, or you can use the source to paste any code in the text box. Now, this is all available with the free LIVRESQ plan. You don't need to have it paid in any way. This is all available for free. You can do all of these things, and everything to do with the text editor is 100% free, so up to this point. Now, what we have under the paywall, so you need a premium or pro account for this is everything to do with AI. And the first resource we implemented AI on, but we've developed since then, is on the text resource. If we select a text box, so we select with a single click and we edit with a double click, I just need to select it using a single click. I have the option here, a panel called AI Enhancer. It's in beta at the moment, where I can do two things. I can either ask the platform to generate something. So this is, we've integrated OpenAI, so it's just like talking to ChatGPT or any other AI generator. So we ask a question, we ask it to generate text, we select a size. Tell me about winter. This is a very, very simple, not at all advanced text. I just need a little bit of content. So I tell me about, sorry, here we go. I'm going to send this question. It almost instantly generates a little bit of content. I asked it for 200 to 300 characters. I can either replace whatever is in my text box with this content, or I can add it. So we'll just replace it. And then if I have content, whether I've pasted it from somewhere else or whether I've just created it, so this is now a text box where there is some content, I have the possibility to ask the platform to perform a task on that piece of content. And there are a lot of tasks so these are automatic prompts. There are a lot of automatic prompts that we've integrated, hopefully covering every need that has to do with learning, or most needs, of course, but we're very open to suggestions. So if you think we should add another prompt here, we're happy to do it. So you can select learning objectives. You can ask it to create video scripts. You can ask it to add content. So maybe I want to have more content on this. I'll click on generate, and I'll click on the add, not replace. And it added more content about winter. I can ask it for different quiz items or different bits of content as well. I can ask it to create a frequently asked questions, a game-based simulation, learning objectives, and so on. So a lot of tasks that can be performed. The way we use it, again, is by selecting the text box using a single click and going under properties at the panel AI Enhancer. This is perhaps the most powerful way you can use the text box now. And of course, if you double click, you have 100% free reign in order to edit everything that was created here. So you can even change the format, or you can write other things and edit the text that was just generated for you. This is mainly it. I know my initial plan was to keep this under 20 minutes, but somehow we've started about 30 minutes ago, I think. Now, if you have any questions, so if you've joined us on Zoom or if you're watching us live on any of the platform we stream this to, I follow all the comments, so please ask me if there are any questions. If not, again, if you're watching a recording, leave a comment and we'll get back to you. Okay. So thank you so much for coming tonight. Thank you for watching. We will see you back here on Thursday, not next Thursday. So this is a bi-monthly meeting, which means that in 2 weeks' time, on Thursday at 6 p.m. CET, we'll meet back here, and I'll tell you more about LIVRESQ and more about the exciting developments and features that we have. Thank you so much for your participation.